And Liverpool's king to the top are champions of Europe once again.
So, Aders, I'm going to start with you first.
Yep.
Who would you rather have in your team? And then remember, all of these players, imagine them at their peak. Edwin van der Sar or Alisson?
I'd have to go with Alisson based on this year because I have him in my fantasy football team and he's just he's a banker for 6 points every week.
But van der Sar, I mean...
Van der Sar was class, you know. I think Alisson is super on the ball, though, to be honest with you. I think his distribution, like, people might not see that, but I'm looking at it and I can see he's starting a lot of play. Like, the players trust him to give him the ball. Van der Sar was good on the ball, but I think if you looked at Van der Sar kicking the ball, a lot of his were pinged out to the wingers, whereas if you look at Alisson, he's very composed on the ball. He's only been caught once or twice on it, but he is excellent on the ball, and it's like having a sweeper more or less on your team. And
I was going to go for Schmeichel, but I just thought he's never.
I would have picked Schmeichel.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's why I didn't. All right, Anto, Andy Robertson or Patrice Evra. Now, remember, both of them in their prime. You can argue what Robertson is his prime right now.
You know what? That's hard because the thing about Robertson, it's the same with Alexander-Arnold. Like they're weaponized in Liverpool. Like Liverpool. They just suit the way Liverpool is set up. So, like, they're very... Klopp wanted his fullbacks to play in a very particular way. So, the fact that he has the energy to get up and down and he's got that ability in his locker just makes him perfect for the Liverpool team. But I would say Robertson. I thought Evra was a good player. He's a very consistent defender. But I think Robertson just gives you another dimension. So, Andy Robertson.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh, no, and did you see the way Liverpool... I was reading some yoke about the way they actually scouted him. Like, Hull were losing 3 or 4 every week. So if you're looking statistics-wise, he was on a team that... He was a defender in a team that were shipping serious amount of goals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a... like, Liverpool had some weird formula. The lads who were scouting him that they seen how many times he got into the other half. And there was more than you'd look at just saying he's a good player or not. Like, there was a specific formula that they were looking for from fullbacks. And it was amazing to think, Jesus... Someone is looking at it that scientifically to make a signing, and if you look at it now, he's probably the best money they've spent for. What did they spend for him? 7 million, was it?
Pretty much, but I think we spent 8 million. But the thing is, if you think about the top 3 left backs in the Premiership area, Ashley Cole is probably number 1 if we're being honest. I would probably put Evra in there, and. Has Robertson been around long enough for us to say he's in the top 3 best left backs the Premiership has seen, or am I jumping the gun there?
You mightn't say that now, but it's looking like he could build into that because I just don't see him making many errors, and I think that's like especially in a fullback, if they're not giving the ball away a lot and they're comfortable on the ball and they're taking free kicks and set pieces, I would look for that more so than someone who's like making last gasp tackles and stuff, you know. And I do think he's the type of player that's fit and he can get up and down the line, and he's the modern day fullback that you're looking for. So
so far we have Alisson over Van der Sar and we have Robertson over Evra. So this is shaping up very nicely.
We'll see who the rest are.
All right. Well, this is where it's going to get this is where it's going to get tasty, and this is for the both of you. So feel free, whoever wants to go with this first. Rio Ferdinand, who. I couldn't stand him. I think he's so arrogant, but he was just a great defender. Rio Ferdinand or Virgil van Dijk.
That's.
Is this for me? Is it?
Well,
right. If you're looking at it on this season and you're looking at the amount of points that Liverpool have gained, you'd be like Virgil van Dijk. But if you're looking at it at the success that Ferdinand had over a longer period. I knew you
were going to throw it at my face sooner or later.
No, I like Rio, and I do think they're similar players. Van Dijk is possibly a bit of a better defender. The two of them are excellent on the ball and very composed and looking for the ball off the keeper.
I need a player though. I'm
going for Ferdinand because I think Ferdinand would be worth 70. If Harry Maguire is 80 million or whatever he was, I think Ferdinand would be 150 million.
All right, Anto.
Yeah, like it's like what Adrian says there. Like it's very hard. Really, you want to be. If you could compare them over 5-year blocks, so like Van Dijk right now has just been unbelievable for the last 2 years. But like you don't know. Like I think it's very unlikely that he's going to go off a cliff. He's just an amazing player, but he's not going to be the same athlete in a few years. So how can he adjust to that and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, and I think that's what was good about Rio. As he got older, he could still compete at the very top. So.
Okay,
maybe Van Dijk can. He looks like he has the type of body and the mind for the game that he will be able to adjust as he loses a little bit of pace. I think Rio has proven that he could do it.
All right, so it's.
Well, what I will say though as well, in fairness, Van Dijk, like Ferdinand came into a very, very good United team that was well versed. Like I don't think I've seen a player. Definitely not a defender who has changed a team as dramatically as Van Dijk when he came to Liverpool.
Well, I think for me, it's Liverpool. It's at the back that they've really like. We would have always looked at Liverpool through the years they'll always make one mistake in a match. Like as a fan, and I'm sure the players were the same. You'll always get a chance. Whoever was at the back, whether it was Dominic Matteo, Carragher, you then move on the years and you've got different players at the back like Skirtle. You know that you're going to get chances. Now it's very, very hard to get a chance. Like you look at the back 4 or 5, you're counting the keeper. It's much harder to get chances. So I think that's for me, the Liverpool players that we've chosen so far, they're in the modern era where Liverpool have been exceptional at the back.
All right, okay. Well, this one, I mean, I love him to bits, but I can't. I think this is going to be 3 for 3 here. We'll start off with you first, Anto. Steve McManaman or Ryan Giggs?
Oh, well, it has to be Giggs. It has to be Giggs. Like I think McManaman was a very underrated Liverpool player. There was a lot on his shoulders. Like there was a huge amount of pressure on his shoulders for a couple of years. He was the main Liverpool playmaker, and at his best, he was unbelievable. But he could frustrate you as well. I think like he was criticised for a lack of end product for a player who was so good, so talented, and so much running in him and creativity in him. There was often happened just way too much. His finishing wasn't great, and sometimes like his crossing wasn't great. Giggs is he's just one of the best. But
Anto, like look what happened. Look what happened when McManaman went to play with better players. He won 2 European Cups in 3 years. He scored in one of the finals. He scored in the other semi-final. He won, I think, he definitely won 1 La Liga, if not 2. Yeah. He didn't look at a place for a long time in that team.
No, well, he wasn't. That was for 2 years. Like, he did it for 2 years. Now, I know he was at Liverpool for a long time, but, like, Giggs did it. Giggs was at that level for nearly 20 years. Yeah. Like, it's actually freakish.
Well, listen, I'd love to see Aders piss all over one of my childhood heroes, but we'll just move it on now to the one that has basically divided fans for 20 years. Steven Gerrard, Roy Keane, Aders.
Roy Keane, he's my hero. I'll never pick anyone in my team ahead of him.
All right, but you got to back it up.
I think if you're picking a team, like I do think Gerrard was exceptional, brilliant on the ball, and he had a much better range of passing than Keane. But in terms of the success that Keane had, and I think being a captain and a leader, how he dragged other people across the goal line with him, it has to be Keane for me.
Aders, can I just ask you this though? Because Keane had the presence, he'd give a player a look and he'd scare the life, and you just got the feeling he could whip it everyone in shape. But in terms of ability, what he could do with a ball, so like, do you think? Could you honestly say Keane was still like in terms of shooting and crossing?
I think people say he was limited in what he could do, but I think he played with his limitations and got 100% out of himself every single game. Where he kept the ball, he didn't. If you look at his pass completion, it might not have been goal opportunities. He wasn't setting up a lot of attack and play and stuff, but he kept the ball, kept it simple, and enabled us to do what we do. Like, it enabled United to pick attacking players and focus on the upper half of the field. When we knew we were safe at the back, we forward the back, and then you threw Keno in there as well, that he was able to do. And he did chip in with important goals as well. But I just think for his overall worth to the team, people might look at it and say, well, he wouldn't be able to play a 50-yard diagonal like Gerrard, or he wouldn't score a free kick or do this. But if you look at the traits that he did have, and in terms of from Ireland's perspective as well, we punched above our weight, and Keane dragged us through in a lot of games as well. Just from how he could bring other players along with him.
All right, so Aders goes for Keane and I go for Gerrard. Anto, I want to hear your thoughts on Gerrard versus Keane and also Gerrard versus Scholes.
If you're asking me Gerrard or Scholes, it will be Gerrard. Gerrard, as good a player as Scholes was.
He's asking you Gerrard or Keane?
I'm asking for both.
I'm trying to delay it because I'm probably going to say Keane. I just think, well, again, look, I mean, I think like talking about like him being limited or like I think he was I don't think he was at all. Like, he was an absolutely brilliant passer of the ball. He's actually underrated how good he could pass the ball. Like he literally controlled games. So Gerrard used to take games with a scruff of the neck and cover every blade of grass. Roy Keane could control a game within a 15-yard radius, just taking the ball off his centre half, just punching passes through the thirds for 90 minutes.
Someone said that when he was at Sunderland, that when he took over, like he was retired a few years, but he was still the best player in training, joining in. The lads couldn't lay a glove on him, as they say, and he just had that kind of game awareness about him. I was talking to someone who played against him in a pre-season friendly, and they just said they couldn't get near him. He stayed in the centre circle for a lot of the game and just controlled the game from his knowledge, you know. And
don't get me wrong. Keane is by far the greatest player that this country's ever produced, and maybe ever will in my lifetime. And I've seen the footage of him in his last few months when he played for Celtic, and he's basically walking around Old Firms, dominating. Don't get me wrong, the man was an absolute powerhouse. But Gerrard played a whole season on the wing, and he got PFA Player of the Year. He played extra time at right back in a European Cup final. He played as a number 10 when Fernando Torres was at the club. He played at central midfield when he first came in. He basically played as a forward as well. When Torres was injured, he was our main goal getter. And then his last couple of years, he played as a number 6, basically as a quarterback. So Keane is a wonderful player, but in terms of Gerrard, I think he actually retired a little bit early. I don't think he wanted to go play for a Celtic. I know he played 1 year in the Galaxy.
He didn't want to drop down the levels.
Yeah, but
understandable, you know.
But if you look at he kept himself though.
Yeah, if you put Gerrard into the Liverpool side now, at his prime, he would walk into the side and he would have more success than he had back then, you know, because he'd be in a better side. So I think as well, Keane was brilliant for me, and a lot of it did come down to being in a really good side. Maybe we wouldn't have been talking about him as he was if he was in a lesser United side, but for the success, I'm going with Keane anyway.
Any last thoughts, Anto?
Yeah, well, actually, they're kind of similar, really. I know you're pointing out how versatile Gerrard was, but Keane was as well. Like when he started, he was a very different player when he first came from Nottingham Forest to Man United. He was box to box. And I'm pretty sure that United did use him in centre half and in wider positions through the years. And by the time he finished, he was just sitting in front of the back four. So I actually think they were similar. Look, great players, top quality players are all the same.
I think it's kind of gone out of the game now a lot, where there's not many players that you see move from position to position, and possibly it comes down to squads being so big and if a defender's missing, they'll put a defender in. But back even 15 years ago, was you play your best team, and if it means putting a lad into a different position, like Gerrard played on the wing, you play your best 11 available players. Whereas now, if your right winger is injured, you've got a right winger who's on the bench, or he's out on loan that you can call him back. So I think
that's a good point. There's more subs as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Okay, next one. I don't think Aders is going to go for him here because he left Man United on really bad terms. But let's have a look. In their prime, Carlos Tevez or Bobby Firmino?
I would go with Firmino because I just think Tevez was a super player, but I think Bobby Firmino has been very consistent, and if he's not adding goals, he's always he's another player on my fantasy football team. He's always there in and around the box, so you know that he's going to be there. Whether he scores every week is a different story, but I don't think it's just goals that Liverpool get out of him. You know, he's very creative. He opens up space. He's a very clever player. You know, he allows Salah and Mane to get into the box from his movement, just simple movement that maybe people might not see that, and they just think that he's not in the box, but he's opening space for other players to run into, and I think that's a big thing about Firmino. So probably helped that Tevez did leave early and he fucked off, but I'm going for Firmino for this.
Any arguments, Anto?
No, totally agree. I think he's probably the most intelligent player I've seen in supporting Liverpool the last 30 years or whatever. He is a very, very smart player, and the best gauge of it is when he's not in the Liverpool team, it's not the same team. Mane doesn't look the same. Salah doesn't look the same. He's very unselfish. So if you drill it down to just numbers in terms of goals scored, Tevez was probably a better goal scorer. But Firmino is arguably the key man in that attack because he makes all the others better. He brings them all into play. Just the way he uses the space and causes he plays in between the lines so cleverly that it's very difficult to handle him because the secret's out with Firmino now. Everybody knows that he's the one that's joining the dots. So you can see teams trying to get him out of the game, but he's so good that it's still very, very hard for them to do it.
That's a skill in itself, though, isn't it? Yeah. Like keeping yourself in the game when the teams are trying to mark you out of it.
That's what Rooney was so good at as well. You know that Rooney would create that space, and maybe Rooney did score more goals and more spectacular goals, but in terms of movement, they're fairly similar types of movement in that they're clever, you know, they create opportunities for everyone else.
All right, well, the last one here, you're going to say, it was a different era, they were a different player. Enough of that bollocks, I just want an answer. In their peak, Anto first, Robbie Fowler or Robin Van Persie?
About at their peak? Oh,
of course.
Wow.
Anto, your involvement in this podcast depends on this answer. So,
I have to say Fowler because he was just the most.
Because I'm going to kick you off the podcast if you don't.
The most natural, the best natural finisher I've ever seen, and the problem was that he was at his peak. He was kind of like Michael Owen. He was at his peak when he was about 19. You know, he had a bad injury, and he wasn't the most disciplined trainer in terms of looking after himself. So that, you know, he lost a fraction of pace after a bad injury, and he was never quite the same. But what a finisher! The brain on him, 2-footed, total street footballer as well. Like I think
not tall, but scored a lot of headers.
Yeah, he was only about 5'7", I think, or 5'8" max. So like just an amazing natural, real street footballer. And Percy was a very, very Dutch. You could tell he had the Dutch education. He was technically brilliant, and he was athletic and tall. But I will say peak Robbie Fowler, for me.
Good man. All right, last one is for you, Aiders. I'm going to pick one Man United legend, and I'm going to pick another Liverpool legend. It's Wayne Rooney in his peak against Nigel Clough in his peak.
A funny story. I actually played against Nigel Clough. And he was 40 at the time. He was player manager of Burton Albion. He's still there actually now.
In a proper game, in a pre-season?
No, it was a league match. I was on loan with Scarborough. Jesus. And it was a league match. Burton Albion were just after moving into their new stadium. I think it was 2005.
Right.
And I was playing against him in the middle. Now, I was only there for a month. Scarborough were going through a bad time. I shouldn't have took the move, but the week after I moved to them, they ended up going into administration, and the players weren't getting their wages, and nobody was happy there, you know. So
your ridiculous wage demands didn't help as well, Aiders, did they?
And it was a time for them when nobody was happy, so they weren't even focused on the football, you know. They were more focused on getting their wages to pay their bills and whatever. So we went to play Burton Albion away, and Nigel Clough was absolutely brilliant. 40 years old. Like I said to you about the lads talking about Keano controlling the game from the middle of the field, that's all he did. He stood in the middle, and I was thinking, I'm 20-year-old, I have to cover every blade of grass, but he totally dominated me just from staying in the middle.
He seemed like a bit of a fairy of a player, though. Did you go in any 50-50s?
I couldn't get near him. He's 40, but
it's a 70s hurry.
Just the way, like, it's amazing when somebody has that brain, you know. And like you can even see it. You lads will probably see it from watching lower level football. When you see somebody, and they might not be the fittest lad in the world, but when they have that brain, they can do so much with that brain, you know, that they can just stand there, create space for themselves, and not chasing after the ball all the time. And at the time, I was going running around after the ball all the time when he was standing still and just getting the ball off his teammates and creating opportunities. And that to me was, Jesus, he was brilliant. But when you're asking me the question of who was the player again?
Nigel Clough versus Wayne Rooney.
It can only be Rooney. Rooney, brilliant signing, you know. And Fergie was absolutely on the ball there, getting Rooney in at his age. Rooney could have kind of gone to anyone in the world, and it was probably hard to imagine a player moving from Merseyside to go to Old Trafford and stay there for so long and be so successful. But Rooney, for the United fans, when he left, we were all sad, you know. And he kind of was coming to the end of his better days. Maybe he shouldn't have been, but you have to bear in mind, he started when he was 15 in the Premiership, and his game wasn't really based around being the fittest person in the world. So it was inevitable that he wasn't going to get to 35 and still be playing at the very top, that his days at the top were going to be cut shorter earlier. But United, we've seen brilliant days from Rooney, and it's what Fergie was all about. He got the key players. The question you asked Anto about Van Persie, like to get the players that we've had, Sheringham, York, Cole, like when you were talking about Robbie Fowler as well, we were lucky at the time that we were scoring so many goals. Robbie Fowler was a brilliant player, but we didn't need him. And it's probably the way Liverpool fans are looking at it now. Like you look at maybe Fernandes coming into United and you don't need him. So it's kind of like, yeah, he's a brilliant player and he looks like he could be the best player United have, but you don't need him. So we were delighted with what we got out of Rooney, and we do miss him. We don't have players at that kind of level now anymore.
Yeah.
And, it's sad, but we got great days from Rooney, and Rooney over Nigel Clough any day.
And remember, your all-time leading goal scorer is a Scouser. So for any of these lads, these Dublin lads, it's not just that I hate Liverpool fans. I hate Scousers. It's like
you can always remember him celebrating in front of the Cop boys. So
a lot of people celebrate in front of the car. Anyway, listen, Aders, we want to Anto, take the floor.
Yeah, well, before we go, because we are in crazy times, and you are the owner of Pro Fitness Gym, so which is done, like, you know, you're used to doing a lot of great work, one-on-one work with people, and obviously you've had to change things completely now in the last couple of months. But can you maybe just tell us, like, enlighten us on the type of work that you've been doing, how you've adjusted to that, and how important maybe it is to be doing this kind of fitness work in this current environment?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like anyone that owns their own business, you know, you just had to adapt really quickly. Like we could see this coming, that it was January, it was kind of, we were getting the news about the coronavirus, then February, and you're thinking there'll be some answer to it before it hits Ireland, you know, that we won't get it, you know, we won't get it as bad. And then all of a sudden, bang, and we knew then coming into the middle of March, lockdown. So luckily I'm fairly good tech-wise, so I focus a lot on the business rather than just training people all the time. I do train people every day, but I do focus a lot on growing the business as well. So I had to be good with tech and learning how to use like things like Zoom and running online programs where people were still going to be able to train with us, but doing it from their own house. So again, it isn't the same as coming into the gym, but we're lucky now. We have over 100 people on our online program, and it's helped us stay in business, you know, where we could be going back in August. I think gyms they're looking like August being open again. And if we had to wait till August and nobody was coming into the gym or nobody was training online with us, it's going to be very hard to restart. So luckily we've adapted to going online, and we've got live workouts every day. So we're doing 2 or 3 workouts every day. We do nutrition coaching. So in fairness, the clients are actually seeing more of us. They're just not seeing as much of us in the gym, or any of us in the gym, but they're getting more attention from us now with how much we're able to do online. So as we're talking here on Zoom, we have regular Zoom meetings and virtual sessions every day. So it's kind of the power of technology. On one hand, we probably don't like our kids using the technology as much as they are, but for us running businesses, it's been a savior for the times that we're in.
And if you
to
join up, Aiders, you just go to the Facebook page if you wanted to be a part of this, or
just go onto our Facebook page or profitness.ie, and we have like sign up forms there. So if anyone's interested and like want to come on and do a free session or whatever, everybody's doing online sessions, but we do like to get in touch with clients and make sure that they are getting the most out of the program and not just an online workout that they could get from YouTube. So we do kind of try and do a bit of personal attention as well as being a group program that it is.
Brilliant. Profitness.ie. All right, that is brilliant. Aiders, I can't thank you enough, and I can't believe that you put Stephen Gerrard ahead of Roy Keane, but that's
I can't believe you asked me Nigel Cropper, Wayne Rooney.
that's the kind of podcast we are. Anyway, thanks a million, Aiders. Best of luck with the season when it gets back up again. And I'm sure you'll have a front row seat to watch us lift number 19. Anto, thanks a million as well. And that's it. We'll be back next time.
I've got a quick message from the United fans saying that it is going to be null and void, lads, so don't celebrate too early.
Listen, nothing's going to stop this. All right, lads. All the best.
All right, lads. Great stuff. See you.